Welcome to Spine Chillers, where we delve into the darkest corners of horror and mystery. I'm your host, Eden, and today we're diving into a case that has haunted the whispers of folklore for generations. Buckle up and dim the lights, because this story will send shivers down your spine. Our tale today is about the harvest of souls. The town of Hemlock Hill, nestled amidst rolling green hills and shadowed by the imposing silhouette of Mount Despair, had always prided itself on its quiet, idyllic existence. A place where neighbours knew each other by name, where the creak of rocking chairs on porches was the most disruptive sound, and where the biggest crime was a stolen pumpkin from someone's patch. That was until the summer of '72, when the tranquility was shattered like a porcelain doll dropped on concrete. It began with the disappearance of young Emily Carter, a vivacious, red-headed girl of 16. Emily was the kind of child who lit up a room with her laughter. She was the star of the high school drama club, a budding artist, and had dreams of escaping Hemlock Hill for the bright lights of New York City. Her disappearance sent shockwaves through the community. Posters with her smiling face plastered every storefront, every telephone pole. Search parties combed the woods, the river, and even the abandoned quarry on the outskirts of town. Weeks turned into months, and hope dwindled. Then, one crisp autumn morning, a group of teenage boys exploring the dense woods behind the old Carter farm stumbled upon a horrific sight. Buried beneath a shallow layer of leaves was a human hand, its skin pale and clammy, the fingernails bitten to the quick. The discovery sent shivers down the spines of the seasoned detectives called to the scene. It was a hand, but not Emily's. The investigation that followed was a labyrinth of twisted clues and dead ends. The hand belonged to Martha Collins, a reclusive woman who lived alone in a dilapidated Victorian house at the top of Hemlock Hill. Locals whispered of her as a witch, a woman who held dark secrets. Her house, a Gothic monstrosity with turrets and gargoyles, was shrouded in an eerie aura. The detectives, led by the grizzled veteran, Captain Silas Thorne, obtained a search warrant. What they found inside the house was a tableau of horror that would haunt their dreams. The air was thick with the stench of decay, a sickly sweet perfume that seemed to cling to the walls. Every room was a chamber of secrets. In the attic, they discovered a hidden room, its walls lined with newspaper clippings about missing persons. On a crudely constructed family tree, Emily Carter's name was circled in red. The basement was a descent into hell. There, in a cold, damp cellar, they found the remains of Martha Collins, her skeletal frame twisted into a grotesque posture. But it was what lay beyond her body that truly defied comprehension. In a series of metal cages, stacked like cordwood, were the remains of at least a dozen other victims. Women, young and old, their bones bleached white by time. One of the detectives, a young, wide-eyed rookie named Danny Ramirez, stumbled upon a diary hidden in a false bottom of a drawer. The diary belonged to Martha Collins. Its pages were filled with a twisted, obsessive narrative. She wrote of a childhood filled with abuse, of a deep-seated hatred for men, and of a desire to create a perfect world of women free from male domination. The diary revealed a methodical killer. Martha would lure her victims to the house, promising them safety or companionship. Once inside, she would imprison them in the cellar, torturing them physically and psychologically before finally taking their lives. The house on Hemlock Hill was not just a home. It was a fortress of terror, a place where innocence was sacrificed on the altar of madness. As the investigation deepened, more horrifying details emerged. Hidden compartments in the walls concealed human remains, carefully preserved like trophies. A collection of personal items from jewellery to photographs was found, a macabre testament to the lives stolen. The case of the Hemlock Hill horror became a national obsession. The quiet town was overrun by journalists, true crime enthusiasts and the morbidly curious. The once idyllic Hemlock Hill was now synonymous with darkness and despair. But amidst the horror, there was a flicker of hope. Emily Carter was found alive, hidden in a secret room in the attic. She had been imprisoned for months, subjected to unspeakable horrors. Yet she survived, her spirit unbroken. Martha Collins, the mastermind behind the atrocities, was never brought to justice. She died in a fire that engulfed her house, a blaze as mysterious as the crime she committed. Some said it was an act of desperation, a final attempt to protect her dark secrets. Others whispered of divine retribution, a fitting end for a woman who had committed such evil. Hemlock Hill never truly recovered from the horrors inflicted upon it. The house on the hill, a blackened ruin, stood as a haunting reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most idyllic communities. The case of the Hemlock Hill horror became a chilling cautionary tale, a stark reminder that evil can exist in the most unexpected places. The aftermath of the fire was a scene of apocalyptic desolation. The once imposing Victorian house stood as a skeletal frame against the dawn, smoke still curling lazily into the morning sky. Firefighters, their faces etched with soot and exhaustion, hosed down the smouldering ruins. Amidst the charred debris, the stench of burning flesh was a haunting undercurrent to the acrid smoke. Detective Ramirez, his eyes bloodshot from lack of sleep, stood at the cordoned-off perimeter, a sickened look on his face. The horror of what they'd found in that house had seared itself into his mind. He'd seen death before, but nothing like this. The methodical precision of the killings, the almost clinical way in which Martha Collins had treated her victims, had twisted something deep within him. As the sun climbed higher, recovery efforts began. Firefighters, assisted by a team of forensic experts, carefully sifted through the ashes. Every piece of charred bone, every fragment of metal was collected and bagged as evidence. A grim tableau emerged, a macabre mosaic of human remains, twisted and broken. Among the debris, they found a peculiar item, a small metal box, its exterior scorched but still intact. Inside, wrapped in a layer of melted plastic, was a bundle of audio tapes. With trembling hands, a forensic technician carefully extracted the tapes. In the sterile environment of the crime lab, they were played back. The tapes were a chilling record of Martha Collins's mind. Her voice, a cold, methodical monotone, detailed her obsession with creating a perfect world. She spoke of her victims as imperfections, beings who polluted the purity of womanhood. The tapes were a litany of madness, punctuated by the muffled cries and screams of her captives. There were moments of chilling clarity, where she described her methods with a surgical detachment that sent shivers down the spines of those listening. One tape, in particular, stood out. It was a conversation between Martha Collins and one of her victims, a young woman named Sarah. Sarah's voice was a fragile whisper pleading for mercy. Martha's response was a chilling dissection of Sarah's fears, a psychological torture as insidious as any physical pain. The tapes provided a chilling portrait of a mind consumed by darkness, but they also offered a glimmer of hope. Amidst the horror, there were references to a hidden room, a place where Martha Collins had kept some of her victims. A desperate gamble, perhaps, but a chance that someone might have survived. The search resumed with renewed vigor. Every inch of the ruins was examined, every stone turned. And then, as if by a miracle, they found it, a small, concealed space, hidden behind a collapsed wall. Inside, huddled in a corner, wrapped in a tattered blanket, was a young woman. She was emaciated, her hair matted, her eyes wide with terror. But she was alive. The woman, later identified as Rebecca Miller, had been missing for over a year. Her rescue was a miracle, a beacon of hope in a story otherwise consumed by darkness. Her recovery was slow and arduous. Physical wounds healed, but the psychological scars would take a lifetime to mend. The town of Hemlock Hill slowly began to rebuild. The house on the hill was razed, the land left barren as a stark reminder of the horrors that had transpired there. A memorial was erected in the town square, a place of remembrance and healing. Emily Carter, the girl who had survived the ordeal, became a symbol of resilience. She dedicated her life to helping other victims of abuse, her story a testament to the indomitable human spirit. Detective Ramirez, haunted by the shadows of the case, sought solace in therapy. The horrors he had witnessed had left an indelible mark on his soul. But he also found a sense of purpose in helping others, in ensuring that the victims of Hemlock Hill would not be forgotten. The story of the Hemlock Hill horror became a chilling chapter in the annals of true crime. It was a tale of madness, obsession, and survival. A story that would be whispered in hushed tones for generations to come. And while the house on Hemlock Hill was gone, the memory of its horrors would forever cast a long shadow over the town that bore its name. Until next time, sleep tight.